Here's something that probably sounds familiar. You are finally making decent money for the first time in your life, maybe even hitting that six-figure milestone you dreamed about in college. But somehow, your bank account still feels like it is playing hide and seek with your financial goals. One day, you are celebrating a promotion. The next, you are staring at your savings, wondering how you are supposed to afford a house, fund retirement, maybe start thinking about kids, and still have enough left over to occasionally eat something that did not come from a microwave. Welcome to your 30s, where financial reality hits harder than a Monday morning alarm clock. This decade is when money stops being theoretical and starts becoming intensely personal. The choices you make right now will determine whether your 50s look like freedom or financial panic. And here is the uncomfortable truth nobody prepared you for. While everyone told you your 20s were for figuring things out, your 30s are when you realize you should have already figured most of it out. But here is what I have learned after helping hundreds of people navigate this exact situation. Your 30s are not a financial death sentence if you haven't checked every box yet. They are actually your golden opportunity to build real wealth, but only if you stop making the mistakes that keep most people broke, despite earning more than ever before. Before we get into the specific steps to fix this, if you want to stop stressing about money and finally understand how to make it work for you, consider subscribing to the channel. My goal is to help you build real financial freedom, one smart decision at a time. Think about this for a second. You probably know someone making $200,000 a year who somehow always seems stressed about money. Maybe they are driving a car that costs more than your first apartment, living in a place that eats half their income, and spending weekends at restaurants that charge $40 for what used to be called a sandwich. Meanwhile, you might also know someone making $60,000 who seems financially bulletproof. The difference isn't luck or secret family money. It is understanding what actually matters when building wealth in your 30s. Most people approach their 30s with what I call scattered financial thinking. They throw money at whatever problem screams loudest that month. Credit card debt demanding minimum payments, a car that needs repairs, parents hinting about grandchildren while you are still figuring out how to afford your own life, friends getting married and buying houses, making you wonder if you are falling behind some invisible timeline that everyone else seems to follow perfectly. This scattered approach is exactly why intelligent, hardworking people in their 30s often feel more financially stressed than they did when they were making half as much. More money creates more options, but without a clear strategy, those options become overwhelming rather than empowering. Let me share what actually works. Instead of trying to solve every financial challenge simultaneously, successful wealth builders in their 30s focus on specific milestones in a particular order. The first milestone might surprise you because it is not about saving or investing. It is about eliminating what I call wealth destruction debt. This means getting rid of every single dollar you owe except your mortgage, credit cards, student loans, car payments, and that furniture loan you thought was a good idea 3 years ago. All of it needs to disappear. Here is why this matters more in your 30s than it did in your 20s. Your earning potential is higher now than it has ever been, and it is probably going to keep climbing. Every dollar you pay in consumer debt interest is a dollar that could be working for you instead of against you. But there is a deeper reason this matters. Your 30s are when life starts requiring financial flexibility. I learned this lesson watching a friend miss out on buying a rental property that would have changed his financial trajectory. The deal required moving fast, but his debt payments meant he could not qualify for the additional mortgage. 6 months later, after watching someone else make serious money on that property, he finally understood why debt elimination isn't just about math. It is about keeping your options open when opportunity knocks. The second milestone builds directly on the first, and it is one that most people completely underestimate. Achieving an excellent credit score doesn't just mean good. We are talking about 800 or higher. This might sound obsessive, but the difference between good credit and excellent credit can literally cost you tens of thousands of dollars over the life of a mortgage. Let's make this concrete with real numbers. Say you are buying a $400,000 house. If your credit score is merely good instead of excellent, you might be looking at a 7% interest rate instead of 6.5%. That seemingly tiny half% difference means you will pay about $55,000 more over the life of the loan. Same house, same down payment, but $55,000 more just because your credit wasn't quite excellent. The third milestone is where most people's eyes start glazing over, but it might be the most important of all: creating a comprehensive financial plan for the next 30 years. I know planning 3 decades ahead sounds unappealing, but without a clear plan, you are essentially playing financial whack-a-mole with your money. You need to save for retirement, buy a house, build an emergency fund, and help your parents. Without a clear framework, these competing priorities create decision paralysis rather than progress. Successful wealth builders use integrated financial planning. They understand how all these priorities work together rather than treating each goal separately. The fourth milestone focuses on something that becomes critically important in your 30s, but gets completely overlooked by most financial advice: building what I call a bulletproof emergency fund. The standard advice of 3 to 6 months of expenses isn't nearly enough anymore. We are talking 6 to 12 months of living expenses. Your 30s come with way more potential emergencies than your 20s did. Houses break, kids need dental work, and cars fail. Having a substantial emergency fund isn't just about financial security, it is about having options. It allows you to take calculated risks and negotiate from a position of strength at work, because you know a surprise expense won't destroy your entire financial plan. The fifth milestone is where compound interest either becomes your best friend or your biggest regret. Having 3 times your annual salary saved for retirement by age 40. If you start with that amount at 40 and continue contributing, retirement calculators suggest you could have over $2 million by age 67. Every year you delay seriously saving for retirement is a year of potential growth you are giving up forever. If you are behind on this goal, do not despair, but do get serious about catching up. You still have 25 to 30 years until retirement, but the math gets harder every year you wait. The sixth milestone is what separates wealth builders from wealth pretenders, and it is something I call lifestyle inflation immunity. Your 30s are prime time for lifestyle creep. You get a raise, so suddenly you deserve a nicer apartment or a fancier car. I have seen people making 6 figures who are somehow always broke because they spend every extra dollar they earn. The secret weapon against lifestyle inflation is automation. Every time your income increases, automatically direct at least half of that increase towards savings and investments before your brain has time to dream up new ways to spend it. The seventh milestone might sound morbid, but it is actually one of the most loving things you can do for your family: getting your estate planning sorted out. If you have kids, a mortgage, or significant assets, you need basic estate planning documents in place. This isn't about planning for death. It is about planning for life's unexpected curveballs. Without proper documentation, decisions about your assets and your children get made by courts and bureaucrats instead of by you. The eighth milestone is one that financial advisors rarely discuss: investing in your health. Your health is your greatest financial asset. The average person spends massive amounts on healthcare during their lifetime. If you can reduce that through preventive care, better nutrition, and exercise, you save money and protect your income potential. Your 30s are when your metabolism decides to take an extended vacation. Developing healthy habits now, while you still have some flexibility, is way easier than trying to fix decades of damage in your 50s. The ninth milestone is starting to think seriously about your kids' education. College costs have increased at twice the rate of inflation. A 529 education savings plan is specifically designed for this purpose. The money grows tax-free, and when you use it for qualified education expenses, you do not pay taxes on the withdrawals either. Even if you can only save $50 or $100 monthly, starting when your child is young means that money has nearly 2 decades to grow. The 10th and final milestone is developing what I call financial confidence. This isn't about having a specific dollar amount. It is about understanding your financial situation well enough to make informed decisions without constantly second-guessing yourself. It means you are not lying awake at 3 in the morning wondering if you can afford that vacation. It means having a plan you understand and believe in, one that gives you confidence that you are making progress even when the market is volatile. Your 30s are essentially your financial prime time. You are earning more than you probably ever have before. You have decades for compound interest to work its magic, but you also have more responsibilities. The decisions you make during this decade will largely determine whether your 50s and 60s are spent worrying about money or enjoying the fruits of your discipline. So pick one or two of these milestones that resonate most with your current situation and start there. The most important step is the first one. If this breakdown helped clarify your path forward, make sure you subscribe so we can keep walking this journey together. Don't let another decade slip by without a plan. I will see you in the next video.